Good evening. Buenas noches. I want to greet our honored guests and especially welcome the Mayor and First Lady. Thank you all for coming to this very special event, and welcome to Lehman College. And let me also welcome you to our Center for the Performing Arts. Many of you may be familiar with the center, which hosts dozens of concerts throughout the year, from jazz to classical to hip hop to salsa. There's something here for everybody. And it's no surprise that this place is known as the Lincoln Center of the Bronx. And we're very proud of this place. But thank you. But this entire school is an extraordinary place, and there's a lot that we're proud of. We're constantly innovating, finding ways to do things that won't just help our students succeed, but that speak to our shared future, the future of the Bronx and the future of this entire city. We're giving our budding computer engineers the programming and web development training they need in our Information Technology Innovation Lab. This was funded through the efforts of the City Council, and we're grateful for that. We're supporting our local entrepreneurs with business management support, training, and access to microloan programs through the Bronx Business Bridge, a partnership with the New York City Economic Development Corporation. We're giving our students the skills they need to land 21st century technology jobs through CUNY 2020, an investment in the City University of New York by the governor that will see a new partnership between Lehman and our fellow CUNY schools, Ostos Community College and Bronx Community College. And we're among the 13 New York City area colleges and universities that are participating in Mayor de Blasio's visionary New York City Tech Talent Pipeline, which combines the strengths of the public and private sectors, including institutions of higher education, to provide internships, tech education, work experiences for New York City residents. And we thank the mayor for his support in this endeavor. Yeah. At Lehman and at the City University of New York, we are investing in the future. We are investing in the Bronx, all of New York City, and beyond. At Lehman, we have graduated more than 58,000 students in the 25 years that I have served as president of this institution. And the college has been a stepping stone for students to take their place as leaders in their communities. This is the tradition of the City University of New York. It is a mission that we have fulfilled with the support of all our elected officials, and one we will continue to fulfill with the support of the mayor, the governor, and our elected officials. So once again, thank you very much for being here tonight, and welcome to Lehman College.
To deliver the invocation, please welcome New York City Fire Department Chaplain, Reverend Ann Cansfield.
Please pray with me. Loving and gracious God, you created our beautiful city and all of the wonderful people in it. Please bless each of us with safe housing that we can afford, healthy food for our bodies, and accessible medical care for all. Grant each of us, no matter who we are, the gift of a quality education, enough work that we do not fear, and a time of rest to enjoy the gifts that you have given to us. God, we ask that you would inspire us to be generous as we welcome newcomers, immigrants, and refugees to our great city. We ask that you would help us to treat one another with love and respect. Remind us, God, to always pay people well and fairly so that no one lacks the basic necessities. Encourage us to offer the gift of our friendship to all whom we meet. And consistently remind us twice a year to check that we have working smoke detectors in our homes. Increase our gratitude, God, for the people who protect and serve our city. We ask that you would keep our police and corrections officers, our firefighters, and our EMTs safe as they work to keep us safe. And may we continue to pray for the thousands of heroes who have become sick due to their service at the World Trade Center, and to never forget their sacrifice. God, may we always be thankful for teachers and social workers, administrators, and advocates who build our communities. Help us to support our elected officials, bureaucrats, and paper pushers who make sure that the bills get paid. And help us to encourage our transit workers, to show them our love and our respect because they get us from one place to another. And of course, God, may we never forget the members of the Department of Transportation, because you made New York City beautiful, but without them, we would be truly miserable if they weren't here to plow the streets and take away the garbage. And we give you thanks for all of the service in the millions of ways that ordinary New Yorkers give of themselves to make our city great. Help us to live up to the beauty that you created, that we are beautiful as well. We ask all of these things in your many names. Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the Altieri family.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the national anthem, sung by the Renaissance Youth Center Choir.
So proudly we hailed I'm Lori Honor, and I'm the owner of Honor Wines here on Staten Island in St. George. It's my home and my husband's home, so we're both from here originally. The term small business is really broader than people think. We think of ourselves as mom and pop small, but small business can be like, if you have under like 1,000 employees, you're considered a small business. So we're like as small as it gets.
I'm Chelsea. I'm a senior. I'm 17. Go to Cambria Heights Academy. I grew up in Queens. Both of my parents were born in Guyana, and my mom got married at 16. So I spent so much time at school because, I don't want to let my mom down.
My name is Police Officer Mohammed Amen. I joined the police department in 2007. I currently work for the Community Affairs Bureau.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sarge. Good morning, Sarge. How are you, sir?
In New York, you get everybody here from every country in the world. There's so many languages spoken here. It's the best job in the world.
My name is Luz Santiago. My parents are from Puerto Rico, but I was born in Brooklyn. I'm a New York Rican. Before I moved here at the apartment, I was looking for a room but still applying for low-income housing.
My name is Yolanda Hayes, and I work at Bronx Morris Center. It's a good thing, but you have your days. But the best part of it is the seniors. The connection that you build with them, it's unbelievable.
Yolanda.
Mi nombre es Auri Martínez. Tengo 8 hermanos, entonces ellos viven aquí también en esta área de Brooklyn. Tengo 20 años aquí y antes era también, se sufría mucho por los maltratos en los trabajos y por ser como una persona inmigrante.
I was working 3 jobs to save. A single person cannot afford a rent. It's kind of harsh, and it's like we don't even belong here. This is my Brooklyn, too. Before it became all this culture and galleries, I was here.
Well, there was a mistrust, I have to admit, at some point, and it set us a little bit back, the term of trusting the police officer.
My mother died when I was 15, and my father died when I was 6. So I didn't have the opportunity to go outside and have friends. It was always trying to survive for myself. Taking care of my kids, that's the best thing, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure that I protected them. It's impossible to live off what they're giving now. You get backed up on your rent because you have to put food on the table. How can you live to pay your rent, to put food on your table, to pay light, gas, and heat? It's impossible.
I don't want to be in the same situation that she's in right now. Right now, she works 16 hours a day just to pay her bills. I don't want to do that. I want to stay in school, get my education, and go somewhere with my life.
Tenía que recoger a mis sobrinos de la escuela y si yo presentaba como el pasaporte me decían que eso no valía, que entonces que quién era yo, entonces ver si no era una persona como criminal o alguien. Entonces eso me ponía muy mal. Pero el logro fue que después de obtenerla como en junio, fui para recoger a mis sobrinos y no hubo ni uno, al contrario, me sentí de lo más bien porque llegué, presenté el ID y de lo más bien.
We took a different angle now through all these programs that we have, going out, try to greet people, interact with children, having this positive interaction that goes a long way.
I think it's really cool to see the changes in our school because we didn't even have like a room like this. We didn't have the labs upstairs like with the AP room. We didn't have all of that until like last year.
It took me a year and a half to get the raise, and I got the raise. And that $15 an hour will help families so much. You can still put more food on your table. You can take your kids out somewhere. That's stuff I never experienced with my kids.
I think the city has seen our value in a way. Many of our members of our community are putting it out there, putting everything they own on the line.
Mr. Tofolo is my favorite teacher on the planet because he's like a mentor, something I don't have at home. I like my school. It's the reason why I stayed here for 4 years and I could have transferred somewhere else.
I didn't know where I was going to move until I got called for the apartment. The moment I got the call, I think I cried like for 2 hours. I couldn't believe I called like everybody on my friend list, everybody. I called everybody. I was like, oh my God, she called me. She told me, hey, there's an apartment here, go check it out.
We need to hear a feedback of how we're doing, have everyone involved, being part of the solution, knowing that this is your place. And I believe that through this unity, we could accomplish anything we want.
This building will be affordable housing for 35 years. My favorite part is the window in the bathroom, because it's like, it's a window in the bathroom. Home is everything. It's spacious, I have a bathroom, I have a kitchen. This is where I bring my granddaughter.
People don't understand when I say I love my kids, I love my kids. They mean the world to me. My kids have food on their table every day, no matter what. That's the most important. I brought them in this world, so it's my responsibility to make sure they don't want, need, or have to ask anybody for anything. As a parent, that's my job.
It's our duty to protect and defend this country and this city. Commissioner Bratton, this time, there's a lot of training happening to train the officers. This is the main core of our mission, to bring everybody together to work hand in hand as police and community working together.
I got into NYIT for biomedical engineering, and I got a $16,000 scholarship. If you're a student, they should take advantage of their education and take it and run with it. Do the best that you can, and then make yourself somebody.
There was no way that I could live in New York if it wasn't for low-income housing. It would push me away from my family. I would be exhausted just paying the rent, exhausted just buying food. It's a miracle. It's not even a miracle. Somebody's listening to us. Somebody heard us. You know, somebody looked out for me without even knowing me, and I'm so grateful for that.
It's real New York. You know, how we work hand in hand, how we are the fabric of New York, of every possible race. I love that we are one.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Asar Burke.
Good evening. My name is Asar Burke, and tonight I have the honor of introducing Mayor Bill de Blasio. I am very excited to be here. I am also very nervous, but I am more excited than nervous. I was asked to talk about my New York, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I love my neighborhood, but it is changing a lot. New people are moving in, luxury apartments are going up, and so are the rents. That's making a lot of people leave, and I don't think that's fair. People who have been in their neighborhood through thick and thin should be able to stay there and continue to live in their neighborhoods. I wanted to help, so I started working at Churches United for Fair Housing, or as we call it, CUF. I love what I do, and it's very humbling. When I went knocking on doors to tell people about our workshops or rallies, they tell me how their landlords were harassing them. The worst feeling when somebody tells you they're in trouble and sometimes you can't help them out in a real way. Now, thanks to Mayor Bill de Blasio and his team, that is changing. The mayor started a program to provide free legal help to low-income tenants being harassed by their landlords. And now Churches United for Fair Housing is working with lawyers to help more people in community keep their homes. Now, when a tenant tells me they're in trouble, I'll be able to say, "Don't worry, I got you. We can hook you up with a lawyer." And that is going to be huge. The other part of my job is running our youth program, which is called GROW. Every Friday, kids come to our gym to hang out, play ball, and just have fun. I know a lot of these kids from the neighborhood, and they tell me about being stopped and frisked and being patted down by the police. And I know from experience that is not a great feeling. There was a time when I was being stopped and frisked as much as once a month. Each time I was walking down the street, minding my own business, and I felt like I was being singled out. From what I was hearing, I was not alone. But I knew it didn't have to be this way. So as I got more involved with Churches United for Fair Housing, I invited officers to our gym to talk to our kids and to hang out and to invite them to our basketball tournaments. While all this was happening, I noticed something else. I hadn't been stopped in months. If I was walking down the street at night, no one assumed the worst just because I was wearing a puffy coat or had my hood on. The things I did with our youth program might have helped, but I know for a fact the biggest change came from what this mayor did with Stop and Frisk. Things are much, much better now. And I'm not trying to say everything is perfect. We're not all out like Pharrell, walking down the street singing the happy song. But the mayor promised to listen to all the innocent people who were stopped and frisked. And he's keeping that promise. He promised to help New Yorkers stay in their homes, and he's keeping that promise. He promised to bring New Yorkers together and create one city where we can all succeed, and with help from folks like you and me, he's fulfilling that promise. So now, please join me in welcoming the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Well, thank you to everyone here tonight, everyone watching at home, and thank you to all our friends at Lehman College for hosting us. And let's especially thank Asar. The future of our city is in the hands of good young men like him. For too long, many of our young men weren't treated like our future. They were treated as something less. But we're changing that. We're lifting up our young men. And for this good young man from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, we see the tale of two cities transforming into one New York. I want to thank and acknowledge the elected officials who are here today who serve us so well. City Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, New York State Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie, Public Advocate Letitia James, Comptroller Scott Stringer, the borough presidents, the district attorneys, the members of Congress, the City Council, the state legislature. Thank you to all of them for all of what you do, and a special thank you to my former boss, David Dinkins. Mayor Dinkins, thank you so much for joining us. And the most special thanks I can give this evening is to the love of my life. And she is also the author of a groundbreaking new vision for a city where mental health challenges are addressed head on. Thank you, First Lady. We're very proud that for the first time, this year's State of the City is in the evening. So hardworking New Yorkers have a chance to watch it and to hear what we're doing to move our city forward. Now, we call these speeches the State of the City. but to me that really means the state of our people, because it's the 8.5 million of us living in neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs who make this the greatest city in the world. Now, 8.5 million of us means 8.5 million different experiences. All of you here, all of you watching tonight, travel a different path throughout the day, dropping your kids off at different schools, taking a different train to work, and nurturing different dreams. But different as our lives are, we are bound together by an invisible thread. We are united by the profound and powerful fact that we are all New Yorkers. As mayor, I have the extraordinary privilege of seeing this unifying force in action every single day. This strength and this spirit, which is unlike any other in the world. I have seen people come together as one New York in astounding ways, time and time again. As recently as 2 weeks ago, we bore the brunt of the second worst snowstorm in the history of this city. And during Winter Storm Jonas, people in every community across the city checked in with their most vulnerable neighbors. They shoveled snow for those who couldn't do it for themselves. And one particular New Yorker, Chantel Jabate, did something that reflects the very best of us. Chantel is a registered nurse, and she walked 1.5 miles in the height of the storm to get to her job, caring for hundreds of elderly patients at the Hebrew home in the Bronx. With every step, let's give her a round of applause. With every step through the piling snow and the bitter cold, she just kept thinking, I really love my patients. That, my friends, is the bond between New Yorkers that makes us great. We thank Chantel, and we thank so many other New Yorkers who stood up for each other during that storm. Now, while Chantel was walking through the storm, we were deploying a major multi-agency operation that required thousands upon thousands of city workers. And we asked them to go above and beyond the call of duty to keep our streets clear and safe. And they did. Clearing enough snow in the 5 boroughs to fill Yankee Stadium 66 times. That's a visual. Our teams helped us come through this historic storm quickly and smoothly while other cities were crippled for days. Let's thank our sanitation workers for all they did for us. And all our first responders and all the other city employees who gathered as one to help us through the storm. Now, how we handled Jonas is an example of what we see as our mission every day. Our mission is to put the powers of City Hall to work to help all of our neighborhoods thrive and prosper. Our challenge is to make our great city greater still. Our vision is one New York, working for our neighborhoods. All of our neighborhoods. Una sola Nueva York, trabajando por nuestros vecindarios, todos nuestros vecindarios. Our vision means we have to use the tools of government to fight against inequality and to fight for a strong future for all our families. It means we need to manage government effectively for a safe, clean, economically strong city with an improving quality of life. And it means we must innovate for the future in all our neighborhoods, always pushing the envelope for new ways to keep New York the greatest global city of the 21st century. Now, this work may often happen at City Hall, but that's not where it began. It began with everyday New Yorkers who for decades demanded a better life for themselves and their families. These New Yorkers did not accept a city where thousands of new apartments were being built in their neighborhoods, and not one of them was affordable to their neighbors. They did not accept a city where the only jobs they could find barely covered the cost of getting to and from work. They did not accept a city where good young men like Asar couldn't walk in their own neighborhood without worrying they might be stopped. So we set out together to create change. And let me be clear, this change looks to the future, but it honors New York's history and its deep-seated identity as a place for everyone. Now, I guess that many people here tonight and many watching at home know someone who's afraid they're going to lose their place in the city they love because they can't afford to stay here. But more and more, in the face of these challenges, our work of the past 2 years is taking root in our neighborhoods. More and more people will be lifted up as we protect today's affordable apartments and build many thousands more, as communities grow safer, as new businesses open, as our children grow ever more hopeful about their futures, as we keep working for our neighborhoods. Let me show you how this is happening all across the city. Because of paid sick leave, 500,000 more New Yorkers can now take a day off to care for themselves or loved ones without worrying about their paycheck. $50,000 city workers and contracted workers will now be guaranteed a $15 minimum wage. And 20,000 city workers will now be able to take 6 weeks of fully paid leave when they have a child, or adopt a child, or become a foster parent. And working with our municipal unions, we look forward to the day when we can extend a similar benefit to many, many thousands more. Now, I want to pause on this topic for a moment. It is time this country caught up with all the other nations of the developed world and created a national policy that eliminates the choice between paying the rent and taking the once-in-a-lifetime chance to bond with a new baby. And right now, the state of New York is working towards paid family leave as well. I want to thank the governor for making it a priority in his state address last month. And I want to commend Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie for being such a powerful champion for our families. I think you have a hometown crowd here. Thanks to Speaker Hastie's leadership, paid family leave passed in the Assembly just 2 days ago, and we thank you. We will fight for this change in Washington and do everything we can to ensure it becomes the law of our state. And I want to further thank 2 people in this room who are fighting for parental leave everywhere because they have lived through a parent's worst nightmare. Amber Scora and Lee Towndrow lost their son Carl on his first morning in daycare when Amber went back to work last July. But they've had the fortitude to channel their pain into activism to help other families. And their message is simple: paid parental leave matters. Let's applaud them both for their courage and thank them. I talked earlier about New York City as a place for everyone. Just over a year ago, we worked with the City Council, led by Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, to introduce ID NYC. Now, our experts at City Hall projected that over the course of the year, maybe 100,000 people would take advantage of it. It's good to have a healthy skepticism about people at City Hall, because today, 750,000 New Yorkers carry an ID NYC in their pocket. They use it to participate fully in the life of the city, which includes accessing the jewels in our city's crown, our museums, and our cultural institutions, accessing them for free. And I have to tell you, our cultural institutions embraced this idea with such passion, and they've signed up thousands and thousands of new members because of it. Let's thank them for how they've opened their doors to so many more New Yorkers. Paid sick leave, paid parental leave, $15 minimum wage, ID NYC. These are the kinds of changes that move a family from struggle to strength. Now, I could also mention 68,500 kids in free full-day pre-K, but you've heard me talk about that before. I think the topic's been covered. Now, we understand that a fairer city must also be a safer city. And that's why we're so proud that New Yorkers are safer now than they've been at any point in our modern history. Crime within our neighborhoods has gone down 5.8% in the last 2 years, thanks to the men and women of the NYPD. This past month, January, was the safest January on record ever. Just comparing to a year ago, January, murders went down 45% and shootings went down 34%. Extraordinary progress. Now, thanks to our partnership with the City Council, we're adding 2,000 cops to the beat by the end of this year, our first increase in patrol strength in this city since 2001. And at this very moment, our new NYPD counter-terror unit, the Critical Response Command, is protecting us from terror threats. 500+ officers, specially trained, specially equipped, full-time force. It is the strongest such force in the entire nation. And there's never been a dedicated unit like it before here in this city. But we need this level of security because we are a target. We're a target because of who we are. Because New York City is founded on the values of democracy and inclusion. Because we draw our strength from diversity and tolerance, because we're a city where everyone's respected. There are forces of hate in this world, forces of division that look at New York City as a threat to everything they try to espouse, because we prove that human beings can live together in harmony. We prove it here, and that is what one New York means. And we believe in our neighborhoods. Safer streets come through stronger bonds between police and community. So we've unveiled a plan. One city, safe and fair everywhere. A plan that brings that belief to life. It's our blueprint for real neighborhood policing, something that's been talked about for decades, but now will be achieved. I'm proud to say that by this summer, we'll expand neighborhood policing to 11 more precincts across the city, from the 4-3 in the Bronx to the 7-2 in Brooklyn to the 109 in Queens. And eventually, this new approach will come to every one of our neighborhoods. Now, let's be forthright. This is a fundamental shift, because some of our neighborhoods still bear scars of a difficult history. and a difficult relationship between police and community. So our new approach asks the people of our neighborhoods and the police officers sworn to protect them to do the work of building trust, of deepening the connections between each other, of forging a partnership. We're giving our officers every tool they need to do that from the moment they walk through the doors of our police academy. And one of those tools is training to help overcome the biases that reside in all of us. This spring, we will introduce implicit bias training for our officers. Helping them identify and understand and change unconscious behaviors that may affect their policing. Now, all the training, all the technology, all the support we're delivering to our police department will help every one of our 35,000 uniformed officers become the kind of cop they signed up to be. Tonight, we're joined by members of our uniformed services, and you're going to have a lot to applaud over the next few minutes, my friends, because they have performed extraordinary acts of heroism in recent months. 4 of our officers protected New Yorkers from a terrorist wielding a hatchet. And though he was struck in the head, thank God, police officer Kenneth Healy came through, and he is here with us tonight. And he came through with the help of his colleagues, Officers Joseph Meeker, Taylor Kraft, and Peter Rivera, and we thank them for their great work. Police officer Christian Campaverde was off duty. He was shopping when he saw a man about to take his own life. Using his NYPD crisis intervention training, he talked him down and saved that man's life. Thank you, Officer Campaverde. Just yesterday, probationary police officer Keith Gordon saw a fellow officer, Daniel Schreiner, choking at the 109 precinct. Within seconds, Officer Gordon performed the Heimlich maneuver and saved his life. Not bad for a probie. Now, NYPD officers are special. They don't even need to be in New York City. They don't even need to be in New York City to save lives. Detective Albert Ramos and Detective Daniel Mulligan were in Los Angeles last year when they subdued a knife-wielding attacker. Well done, gentlemen. Police officers Benny Kalekia, Daniel Rich, and Matt Wizelinski rescued a woman from an overturned ambulance on a highway in Pennsylvania. Thank you. Back here at home, a trend started when police officers Anthony Barton and Michael Pizikowicz delivered a baby on the LIE. I don't know if you can call this a copycat incident, but just 12 days later, detectives Michael Sharp, Joseph Conway, and Robert Murfield, and police officers Kevin Moran and Frank DeNicola delivered another baby on the FDR. Not to be outdone, EMS members from stations 7 and 8 also delivered a baby in a car outside the Lincoln Tunnel. Just want to urge my fellow New Yorkers to have your babies in the hospital. It would really be simpler. FDNY Lieutenant Victor Malukas and Lieutenant Adam Villagos each rescued some of our youngest New Yorkers last year, a toddler from a fire in Brooklyn and an infant from a fire in Queens. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. Firefighter Mike Shepard was off duty in the East Village last March when a gas explosion ripped through a nearby building. He ran toward the blaze and helped a woman escape from her apartment. Thank you so much, Mike. And don't forget our sanitation department. A would-be robber at a Manhattan 7-Eleven found himself face to face with one of New York's strongest. I got it. Face to face with one of New York's strongest, Curtis Jackson, who also happens to be a former Marine. Let's just say that Curtis Jackson got the better of the situation. And one of our compassionate correction officers, Officer Daniel Leitz, rescued a woman with Alzheimer's wandering on Woodhaven Boulevard, saving her from certain injury or worse. And then, because these are the kind of public servants we are blessed to have here in this city, he bought her lunch and he gave her his sweater. That, my friends, is the bond between New Yorkers in action. And there's one more hero we need to recognize for an extraordinary accomplishment in 2015. This is an individual who answered a call on 9/11 and who stayed on the pile for 8 months because, in his words, there was no option but to keep searching for his friends. And long after that terrible day, firefighter Ray Pfeiffer was still fighting for his friends by walking miles and miles through the halls of Congress to lobby for the reauthorization of the Zadroga Act, all the while fighting his own health battles. In December, thanks to Ray's advocacy, thanks to all the first responders who stood up, thanks to a tremendous bipartisan coalition of members of Congress and mayors from all across the country, the Zadroga Act was made permanent. So now, Ray and all of our 9/11 first responders and survivors will get the lifetime health care and support they deserve. Ray is here tonight. Let's salute his victory. It feels good to thank people who have saved lives. Doesn't it feel good? And you know what else is saving lives in neighborhoods all across this city? Vision Zero. Our Vision Zero action plan made 2015 the safest year on New York City roads for everyone, for pedestrians, for cyclists, and motorists alike, the safest year since 1910, over a century ago. Fatalities are down 22% since 2013, which means 66 fewer New Yorkers who lost their life or lost the life of a loved one because of a crash. Now, even one loss is too many. And I want to acknowledge some of the people who've experienced that pain. I want to thank Lizzie Rahman and Mary Beth Kelly and the Lau family and the Cohen-Eckstein family and all the other families who have lost parents and children and siblings on our roads. But they, despite the pain, they have demanded change and they have won that change. Let's thank them all. Now, our roads are safer. They're safer also when they're in good repair. So we filled, this is a pretty amazing number, we filled almost 1 million potholes in the last 2 years. And repaved 2,200 lane miles of our roads. 2,200 lane miles. Smoothing over long neglected streets and highways from the northern end of the FDR to Huguenot Avenue on the south shore of Staten Island. That is the most repaving that's been done since 1991, 25 years ago. Now, if you were to say to me, Bill, can you give me a visual image of how much paving that is? Well, in fact, I can. It's as if you paved a road from here to Las Vegas. Thank you, DOT. That is one New York working for our neighborhoods. And we're putting real resources to work for public transportation. In 2015, we made a historic $2.5 billion contribution to the MTA. And we expanded Staten Island ferry service to run every 30 minutes, 24/7. And we're investing to replace the 3 oldest ferry boats with stronger, storm-resistant boats. I am so proud that just last week we were able to tell Bob and Linda Ollis of New Dorp that in 2019, one of the new vessels will launch into the New York harbor with the name of their son, U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Michael Ollis, emblazoned upon it. Sergeant Ollis was a brave and strong and compassionate young man who gave his life for a fellow soldier and for our country 2.5 years ago. Let's thank the Ollis family. When I stood with Bob and Linda last week, they talked about how their neighbors in Staten Island gave them strength. And Bob said that day, if you buy a piece of Burbank Avenue, it's worth $1 million only because of the neighbors that you have. And that's what New York City is for all of us. A great city of small towns that we call neighborhoods, where people stand by each other and have a love for their community that often stretches back generations. For so many New Yorkers, nothing is more important than being able to live in the neighborhood you love. And that's why we launched the most ambitious municipal affordable housing program in the history of this nation. 2015 was one of the best years ever for affordable housing in this city. First, we set a record for the number of new apartments financed in 1 year. Second, we're ahead of pace towards our goal of 10,000 affordable apartments for our seniors. Third, the million-plus tenants living in rent-regulated apartments received their first ever rent freeze in city history. And fourth, and I'm especially proud of this. We honored our commitment to end chronic veterans homelessness in New York City. I want to thank President Obama for calling all across the nation, calling cities to this mission and ensuring that those who served our country overseas weren't left without a place to live when they came back home. Now, when you talk about affordable housing in our city, the original bedrock of affordability was the New York City Housing Authority. When Mayor LaGuardia created NYCHA in 1934, he proudly told the public that instead of slums and tenements, working New Yorkers would have decent, modern housing. But for decades now, our 400,000 neighbors living in NYCHA have seen their buildings decline due to disinvestment. So in 2015, we unveiled our next generation NYCHA plan, which will stabilize the authority's finances and raise the quality of life for our tenants. We began work to replace leaky roofs at 67 buildings through $300 million in city capital funding. And we began work to bring high-speed internet to Queensbridge houses, Red Hook houses, and the Mott Haven houses. And today I am proud to announce that this year we will take that work to 2 more developments, Jefferson houses in Harlem and Stapleton houses in Staten Island. When we're done, more than 21,000 residents at these developments will have access to high-speed internet that is so important to getting ahead in today's world. Now, every night in this city, at kitchen tables in every neighborhood, New Yorkers are trying to figure out how they'll make ends meet. How will they make ends meet when the first of the month comes? And this economic reality has taken an even more severe toll on tens of thousands of New Yorkers who find that they can no longer afford to stay in their homes and are forced into shelter. And more, these are families with children, working families who are doing everything right. But nonetheless, they wake up in a shelter. They take their kids to school, they go to their job, they come home at night to a shelter. That is not what should be happening in the greatest city in the world. And that's why over the past year we've helped so many of these families, over 22,000 New Yorkers, to move from shelter to permanent housing. We've helped another 91,000 to stay in their homes and out of shelter to begin with. We created the first ever shelter repair squad to immediately address poor conditions and to make our shelters safer and cleaner. And while the great majority of our city's homeless are in shelters, we're taking unprecedented steps for the 3,000 to 4,000 New Yorkers who live on our streets. We've launched Homestat, the most aggressive street homelessness outreach program of any city in the United States. And we're creating 15,000 supportive apartments over the next 15 years. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Councilmember Steve Levin and Assemblymember Andrew Hevesy for their great leadership on the issue of supportive housing. Finally, we've launched the biggest effort ever in New York's history to support young people who have ended up on our streets. Now, too often, this means LGBT youth who have been rejected by their families and left to fend for themselves. Over the next 3 years, we are adding 300 beds in dedicated youth shelters for young people who have nowhere else to go. Now, I have to speak as a parent because I don't understand how any mother or father could reject their own child and put them out of their own home simply because their child loved the way they did. I don't understand how a parent could leave a child to fend for themselves on the streets of this city. Those children were thrown out, but we are here to catch them. That's what we do as New Yorkers. We catch people. We help them up. We help them on their feet. And we're going to make sure these young people are safe. There's another stigma. There's another stigma that affects all our neighborhoods and touches New Yorkers, every corner of the city, every walk of life, and that is the stigma of mental illness. For the first time as a city, we are fighting to shatter that stigma and deal with the public health crisis of untreated mental health problems. Our First Lady is leading Thrive NYC, the most comprehensive program of any American city to support people facing mental illness. You could stand up for that, you know. I think you should. It includes mental health first aid training for 250,000 New Yorkers so they can identify and respond to signs of mental illness and substance use. It includes our NYC support hotline. Anyone can make one phone call and get connected to care and then stay connected to care, because NYC support means we will stay with you to make sure you're getting the care you need for a mental health challenge on a regular basis. We don't want people falling through the cracks. We want them to get the care they need every day. And Thrive NYC also includes teams that pair NYPD officers with Department of Health and Mental Hygiene clinicians to respond to calls about the severely mentally ill on our streets. Now, this is a new frontier. It's the first time that the NYPD has embedded mental health clinicians in their day-to-day work on the street. And these teams will be hitting the streets next month, and it's going to make our city a better place. Now, I can say this with no fear of contradiction. When it comes to creating one city, nothing is more important than improving our schools. And so we are shaking the very foundations of public education. We've said it very clearly. Our schools must run on the twin engines of equity and excellence. That's why we're bringing advanced placement classes to all our high schools. Algebra to all our middle schoolers. I'm not sure the middle schoolers would be clapping right now, but it's for their own good. Computer science to all our children at every grade level. And that's why we focused on the schools that for far too long did not get the resources and support they needed. Today, our 94 renewal schools are graduating more kids and seeing higher test scores through new approaches and new leadership. And we've made it our mission to ensure that all of our schools are safe and respectful learning environments. Too many students in this city over too many years have faced a school-to-prison pipeline rather than a school-to-college pipeline. And we're changing that. Since the 2011-2012 school year, crime in our schools has gone down 29%, while suspensions have declined by 36%. So that's a summary of 2 years of the work we've all been doing together. 2 years in, we are building one New York. The changes we've made are working for our neighborhoods. And today we're capturing the momentum of these first 2 years to push harder and go farther. Working people in this city need all the support they can get. And too many of them don't have any kind of retirement security. In fact, fewer than half, this is a staggering statistic, fewer than half of all working New Yorkers have access to a plan that can help them save for the retirement years. Even those who have started to save don't have much. 40% of New Yorkers have less than $10,000 saved for retirement. We absolutely cannot accept a status quo where people work all their lives only to be left with nothing. That's why New York City is working to become the first city in the country to create a retirement savings program for private sector employees. Working with Speaker Mark Viverito, Public Advocate James, and Comptroller Stringer, we will introduce legislation to enable any New Yorker working at a business with 10 or more employees to automatically enroll in a retirement plan. Now, in 2016, we're taking our fight against inequality to 3 particular places in this city that haven't gotten their due for many years. First, I want to talk about downtown Far Rockaway. And let's begin with a clip from last year's State of the City. Battered by years of economic distress, even before Sandy's gale force wind struck, there's no place in our city that has persevered through more challenges. Our plan will jumpstart the process of acquiring underutilized properties in the Rockaways, and I mean areas that are blighted or vacant and have been not just for years, in some cases for decades. And we will create new affordable housing for thousands. Well, over the past year, we have worked in partnership with Councilmember Donovan Richards, who brought his own cheering section with him, and community leaders and community members like Glenn Collins. After Sandy hit, Glenn was knocking on the doors of his elderly and disabled neighbors, asking what he could bring them. Now, Glenn helps Far Rockaway residents get their GEDs, find jobs, and build better lives for themselves through his job at our local Workforce One Center. Thank you, Glenn. So the vision of so many residents will now become a reality. I'm proud to announce that the City of New York is investing $91 million to transform downtown Far Rockaway, the kind of investment this neighborhood has not seen in years. We'll help businesses in commercial corridors like Beach 20th Street. Parents will be able to attend job training workshops while their kids play a pickup game at the greatly improved Sorrentino Rec Center. And the whole community will enjoy the new state-of-the-art downtown Far Rockaway Library. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Another part of our city for decades, didn't get its due, and where people have fought through some really tough times, is the South Bronx. And I want to say to all the people who fought through the tough times and stayed, God bless you for what you did to make our city stronger. Of the 62 counties in New York State, the people of the Bronx face the greatest health struggles, and we simply don't accept that. To understand how we are taking action to support the people of the South Bronx, you need to go back to the time of New York City's greatest mayor and a personal hero of mine, Fiorello LaGuardia. When Mayor LaGuardia assumed office in 1934, he saw the devastating ways that inequality affected the health of New Yorkers. He responded by starting the Neighborhood Health Center movement, building 30 clinics in communities across the city that needed them most. And it worked. Infant mortality went down, and life expectancy went up in those places. We're proud to follow in the tradition of Mayor LaGuardia tonight. This year, we are launching and expanding health clinics in 14 underserved neighborhoods across the city. Within a few weeks, the people of the South Bronx will be able to walk into their new community clinic in Mott Haven to see a doctor or a dentist or a mental health professional. And all patients there and at all other healthcare facilities we're creating will get high-quality care, regardless of immigration status or ability to pay. We will be there for them. The third neighborhood I want to talk about is Brownsville, Brooklyn. This neighborhood has struggled with high crime and underperforming schools. The young people of Brownsville haven't had the opportunities they deserve. But we know there's a brighter future on the horizon. We know that with the right support and a strong faith in the neighborhood, Brownsville can and will rise. So we've already transitioned the 7-3 precinct to our new neighborhood policing strategy. This year, residents will become safer when we expand our ShotSpotter gunfire detection technology to cover more of the neighborhood. A new neighborhood health action center will be open to provide the community both primary care and critical services like maternal and child care and SNAP benefits. And this is one I particularly appreciate. Each of the 5,000 middle schoolers and high schoolers in Brownsville will experience something extraordinary when they meet their single shepherd for the first time this fall. Now, single shepherds were announced 4 months ago as part of our equity and excellence agenda for our schools. They're a cross between a guidance counselor and a mentor. Single shepherds will stick with families through the grades, all the way through to graduation. Giving the child and the entire family the support they deserve so our kids can excel. Now, if we want our children to excel in today's world, and I would say the same about our adults for that matter, then it's time to bridge the digital divide. Too many New Yorkers are locked out of a world of information and opportunity on the internet. And that's why we've launched Link NYC, which is well on its way to becoming the largest, fastest, free municipal Wi-Fi system in the world. I kind of think it's New York City and Texas that have to be the biggest and the fastest at everything. We're very proud of that fact. But this literally will be the largest and fastest system in the world. Link NYC is replacing the city's antiquated payphones with a state-of-the-art communications network where you can log on or make a phone call for free. Now, we just installed the first Link NYC Wi-Fi kiosks on 3rd Avenue in Manhattan, and they will be turned on within a matter of weeks, and by the end of July, there will be more than 500 kiosks across all 5 boroughs, on the way to our goal of more than 7,500 kiosks in neighborhoods across the city. This will help cement our place as a global leader in technology and innovation and equity. Now, everything we're doing to make this a fairer city, a city of opportunity, rests on the work we do to keep people safe. That's why I'm so proud of the extraordinary work of our police department. In 2015, because of the men and women of the NYPD, shootings went down almost 3% and gun arrests went up almost 10%. And that's extraordinary. But if you know anything about today's NYPD, you know they're always seeking the next frontier, the next innovation to make New Yorkers safer. This sparked the creation of our brand new 200-officer gun violence suppression unit. And this unit just began, but this unit's efforts led to yesterday's announcement of the indictment of 18 members of a violent gang. And they're just getting started. We expect great things from this unit. Now, if making New Yorkers safer is the first and foremost of our efforts to improve the quality of life, then helping New Yorkers get around our city, get around easily, get around quickly comes next. In 2016, we're taking 2 important steps to help commuters avoid hassles and gain more of a New Yorker's most precious asset, time. They don't call it a New York minute for nothing. The first step is for our bus riders. By the end of 2016, there will be 350 real-time countdown clocks showing riders in all 5 boroughs when the next bus is arriving. The same kind of clocks that so many strap-hangers already know and love underground. The second step is for New Yorkers behind the wheel, who will now be able to pay for street parking in every single one of our 85,000 metered spaces using their smartphone. Now, I know you will miss those paper receipts that you put on the dashboard. You will miss running to the meter. It'll be as easy as buying the time on the meter with a quick tap or text. And I want to thank Councilmember Adonis Rodriguez for his leadership on this issue. Now let's look at what else makes New Yorkers feel good about their neighborhood. New Yorkers want to see clean streets and sidewalks. And that's why I'm proud to introduce Clean NYC, a revitalized effort to keep our neighborhoods clean in all 5 boroughs. First, we're going to add Sunday and holiday pickup service for 5,000 more litter baskets in neighborhoods of our city that see the most foot traffic. Second, we're going to expand our cleaning of highway ramps and shoulders, which are often the first thing someone coming to our city actually sees. Every week, we will clean an additional 100 miles of highway ramps, clearing litter and debris. Third, we're doubling down on our work to remove graffiti in neighborhoods across the city. We're adding more power washing trucks, and they're going to allow us, and this is a pretty startling figure, they're going to allow us to remove 40 million square feet of graffiti every year. And fourth, we're going to use these same power washing trucks in a new way. We're going to use them to clean the sidewalks along some of the busiest commercial corridors in all 5 boroughs. And these will include Church Avenue in Brooklyn, the downtown Flushing Transit Hub in Queens, Jerome Gun Hill in the Bronx, Broadway on Manhattan's Upper West Side, and Highland Boulevard in Staten Island. Safe streets, clean streets, fair streets. These are the things that make our city great, and the things we focus on every day. But to remain a global leader in the 21st century, we must also build a vision for the future of our economy. It's time for a new economy for New York. And this is a vision for an economy that draws as much strength from a film and TV soundstage in the Bronx, or a 3D printing company in Long Island City, or a fashion manufacturer in Sunset Park as it does from a gleaming office tower in Midtown. It's an economy that sees an abandoned strip of industrial land on our waterfront as an opportunity to build a thriving commercial district. It's an economy that benefits all our neighborhoods. Now, we said 2 years ago that we would create a 5-borough economy, and it's already happening. In the last 2 years, jobs in the outer boroughs grew at more than twice the rate of those in Manhattan. A 5-borough economy is starting to grow all over this city. And speaking of jobs, we now have over 4.2 million jobs in our city, the most in our history. And we created more than 220,000 of those jobs in the past 2 years. That is the most jobs created in 2 years at any point in the history of this city. And you know who's creating all those jobs? Our small businesses. With lots of guts and lots of elbow grease, entrepreneurs like Lori, whose Staten Island wine shop you saw earlier, these entrepreneurs are fueling our economy and strengthening our neighborhoods. It's up to us to clear a path for them to get it done. And so today, small businesses are feeling major tax relief because last year we instituted the most sweeping changes and cuts in taxes in decades for our small businesses that had previously suffered because of an outdated small business tax code. And imagine the relief when the city issues a small business a warning instead of a fine, an explanation instead of an arbitrary bill. Something that has changed in the way we approach small businesses, something that happened thousands of times last year the right way and collectively saved our small businesses more than $15 million. Now, for small businesses, time is money. Am I right, Lori? There she is. And entrepreneurs have told us it takes too much time to fulfill their life's dream of opening a new business. So today, we're announcing that we'll be providing one-on-one assistance to folks opening new small businesses. And it will save them an average of 2.5 months off the time it takes to open their business. That means businesses start to make money quicker and start to provide jobs for our neighborhood sooner. And more than ever, we're helping small businesses in places like the Brooklyn Navy Yard and the Brooklyn Army Terminal, where we've invested. You can clap for that. I don't want the partisans of the Navy Yard or the Army Terminal to feel they can't clap. We've invested in both these amazing facilities to spark the growth of companies in new industries like life sciences and technology. And while there's been tremendous activity, these economic hubs haven't reached their full potential. And there's a simple reason why. You haven't been able to easily get to and from the neighborhoods where they are using public transportation. So we've been pursuing new ways to connect New Yorkers to these neighborhoods, to where these jobs are, and these new approaches are already taking off. Look at City Bike, which began under the previous administration and is now shattering expectations with 10 million rides last year. This year, we're expanding this successful program, adding another 2,500 bikes in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan to grow the system to 10,000. And last year, I announced something that's going to really make an impact for all 5 boroughs, the first ever citywide ferry service. Docks are under construction right now ahead of the launch of the service next year. And tonight, we take the next great step in connecting New Yorkers to the heart of our new economy for New York. We're now seeing explosive growth on the waterfront of Brooklyn and Queens. The neighborhoods that run along the East River From Astoria in Queens to Sunset Park in Brooklyn are home to over 400,000 New Yorkers, including over 40,000 NYCHA residents, and to major employment hubs like downtown Brooklyn, the Navy Yard, and the Sunset Park Industrial Cluster. So tonight, I am announcing the Brooklyn-Queens Connector, or the BQX. The BQX will be a state-of-the-art streetcar that runs from Astoria to Sunset Park and has the potential to generate over $25 billion of economic activity for our city over 30 years. That's how much it will unleash. New Yorkers will be able to travel up and down a 16-mile route that links a dozen waterfront neighborhoods. The BQX has the potential to improve and to change the lives of hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers, and we're going to make it a reality. And there's another great opportunity awaiting us on the water. Governor's Island. Governor's Island is a 172-acre oasis in New York Harbor that has a history as long as New York City itself. It was a fishing camp for the very first New Yorkers, the Native Americans. And then, in May 1624, it became the birthplace of our city when the first Dutch settlers arrived there and christened it New Netherland. Those 30 families who set foot on the shores of Governor's Island almost 400 years ago made their arduous voyage in search of opportunity. They planted the seeds of a city that would grow to be a place for everyone. And just as our city has grown, Governor's Island should grow again as a place of opportunity for New Yorkers. Today, we pledge to make Governor's Island a place where economic opportunity comes together with innovation, education, and creativity. We will revive the beautiful buildings in the historic district that celebrate New York City's past and look to the future through millions of new square feet for commerce and culture and research. This will create tens of thousands of jobs and enable 365-day-a-year access for all New Yorkers for the first time in the island's history. It'll create a place where a young biomedical scientist might develop a cure for diabetes, or a tech entrepreneur might innovate a gravity-powered light bulb. Many of these ideas will help us to meet the challenges we face right here in New York City, including one of the greatest threats we all must confront, climate change. Now, here in New York City, we have reduced our emissions significantly in the past 2 years. We've challenged ourselves to cut our emissions 80% by the year 2050. The global gold standard, and New York City is committed to meeting that standard. And we're committed to achieving the cleanest air of any major U.S. city by 2030. Here's one way we get there. Tonight, I'm proud to announce that number 6 heating oil, the most polluting of all the heating oils, has been totally eliminated from New York City buildings. We are moving faster and faster towards renewable energy and away from fossil fuels, leading by example with our public buildings. We've increased the amount of solar power in city-owned buildings 7-fold since 2013. You can see the solar panel on top of City Hall. And today we commit to increase that amount 5 times more over again to 25 megawatts within the next 3 years. We are committed to solar for the long haul. By the way, this will not only remove harmful emissions from our environment, it will save the taxpayers money. You can clap for that, taxpayers. We're also making ourselves more resilient against climate change through a comprehensive $20 billion resiliency plan. And many of the measures in this plan are already in place, and many more are underway, and you'll be seeing them grow in the next few years all over our city. So let me bring all the pieces together and conclude with a simple and straightforward vision for the people of our city. New Yorkers deserve to be protected from the effects of climate change and from any other threats to their neighborhoods. They deserve a job that allows more than just scraping by. They deserve a home they can actually afford, an education for their children that helps them to achieve their dreams. New Yorkers deserve strong neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, clean neighborhoods, neighborhoods that become stronger as the world keeps progressing into the 21st century, neighborhoods that lift up their people, and in so doing, lift up the whole city. Neighborhoods that are great in their own right, and together, unite as a 21st century global capital of fairness, opportunity, and innovation. That is our work. That is our future. Thank you. And God bless you all. And God bless the people of New York City.